If you've just picked up the Sony WH-1000 XM6, you might think they already sound amazing and that they already work perfectly straight out of the box, and things can't get any better than that, right?
Wrong.
What you might not know is that there are more than 25 tips, tricks, hidden techniques and secret features that will allow you to unlock the XM6's full potential, and that's what I'm about to show you. And if you're following along with this simple step-by-step guide, you'll not only make your XM6s sound better, you'll also be making them easier to use, more power efficient, and even safer to listen to for long durations of time, even if you like to listen to your music at the proper volume, which is, for some of you, extremely loud. And maybe best of all, if your friends or family members have exactly the same headphones as you, if you do what I'm about to show you, your XM6s will be better. So normally in these types of tips and tricks videos,
I'm supposed to start with these operation programs first. That's major bar and shed.
And while that stuff is important, and I will get to that, I think it'll be more fun to kick this off with the things that will instantly make your XM6 headphones sound better. So the first thing to understand about Sony's Sound Connect app is that the settings go 2 levels deep. So I will refer to this as the home page, and when you scroll to the bottom of this home page, you will see the device settings. This brings you to the more advanced settings for the headphones. The good news here is if you set these up properly on day one, you won't need to come back to the advanced settings very often. So definitely pay attention as we go through this. So the first thing to do here in the advanced settings is scroll all the way to the bottom and enable the Digital Signal Enhancement Engine Extreme, DSEE Extreme for short. This is actually switched off by default. When you do activate Sony's DSEE, it can auto-detect low-quality audio signals and use a very clever AI to upscale them to make those really rubbish recordings sound amazing.
It's not amazing, it's just a little less shit.
Okay, within reason, but it does actually work and it is very good. Okay, staying within the device settings menu here, the more advanced one, I highly recommend running through the 360 reality audio setup. It does involve taking photos of your ears and allowing the software to tailor the sound signals specifically based off your ear shapes. And this is one of those processes that you will only have to do once. And you'll see why it's so important a little later on in the video. The next feature to set up is spatial sound and head tracking. It's important to know that setting this up does not mean that they're on permanently all the time. They'll actually only kick in when certain types of content are played through the headphones. For example, Dolby Atmos, spatial audio, immersive audio, and Sony's 360 reality audio. You might think that those are different names for the same thing, but actually I was told by one of Sony's pro sound engineers, Mike Piacentini, apologies if I didn't say that right, that they are in fact different. And actually I learned a lot of stuff from him about these headphones. So thanks Mike for that. And also he told me he did remaster one of my favorite albums of all time, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Anyway, getting sidetracked. So with this setup, the XM6s are now primed for delivering these types of audio signals. And if you're wondering what head tracking does, it can lock the sound stage in front of you so that when you turn your head, it kind of stays fixed in place. Think of it the same way as if a band was playing on a stage right in front of you. That's kind of how it would sound. Now this next feature is one of my favorite new additions to Sony's Sound Connect app. I am assuming that at some point you might do some traveling with your XM6 headphones. And in that scenario, you might want to watch a movie or binge watch some TV series that you need to catch up on. And whenever you do, I would definitely recommend you use Sony's new cinema mode, because this will take that signal from your phone or your tablet, which will likely be stereo, and upmix it into 360 reality audio. And honestly, this sounds just like you're sitting in a movie theater. It really is that good. And if you really wanted to take it to the next level, you could throw on a VR headset so it will actually look like you're sitting in a cinema. Maximum effect. And if you want a recommendation, the Meta Quest 3S is pretty awesome and it's not that expensive. Okay, so this will be very useful for gamers, but also there is a very good use case for this, which I think you'll find interesting. So let's say you need to minimize your audio lag down to its absolute minimum. The old school way to do this with headphones would be to switch the codec to the SBC codec, which is fast and stable, but it's also pretty low quality. There's actually a new and better way to do it now. Here's how to activate it on the XM6s. So if you go to device settings, go to the System tab. Here you will see LE Audio Connection. Enable LE Audio Priority. This essentially is the next generation codec, which is not only faster than SBC, it also delivers better audio quality and at the same time uses less power. And when this is on, this unlocks an amazing feature for sharing audio to other people's headphones directly. It is quite an advanced technique, which I will come back to and explain how to use a little later on in this video. Now, before you switch this on permanently, you should know that it does deactivate certain features. And also you should probably know there is another codec out here that is supported by these headphones. And that codec delivers higher quality audio. So if you really care about the music, you'll probably want to use it, but not all phones will have it, unfortunately. And I will show you how to check if your phone does have it when we get to the basic setup chapter of this video, which is coming up shortly. Okay, the sixth step to improve your audio quality is to tailor the sound for exactly the type of music that you like to listen to. So on the home screen on day one, you'll see that the equalizer is switched off. This is a little bit misleading in my opinion, because this is actually the EQ that Sony has put the most money into. So in my opinion, you could leave this on all the time and you'll be good. However, let's say you're a bit of a bass head or you prioritize vocal clarity and instrumental detail. Well, if you tap the arrow next to the equalizer, this will jump straight into the advanced menu. And here you will find the Find My Equalizer feature. So at this point, you would need to load up your favorite track of all time, the kind of track that you listen to the most, and then run through the Find My Equalizer step-by-step process. What this will do is create a tailored EQ for your listening style, which will then be saved to custom EQ2. So remember where to find it. Now, if you are interested in my own EQ that I actually manually dialed in, I didn't use the Find My Equalizer, I'll share that with you guys at the end. Think of it as a bonus for those of you who are most interested. Okay, now let's run through those very important things to do on day one real quick. Now, if for some reason you didn't set up a Sony account when you set up your XM6s for the first time, it's really important to know that some of the best features and customization tweaks for these headphones will be locked until you do. To find out whether you have done this or not, what you can do is on the home screen of the app, hit the three dots in the top right corner and go to account. If it shows you as logged in, you're all good. And if you haven't got one yet,
do it. Do it.
And you're going to see why it's so important very shortly. Okay, a quick customization tweak worth making is this. If you scroll to the bottom of the home screen and hit edit, on this page you can tap to turn off the home screen options and really streamline things to just these settings you're going to use the most. But there is one setting here which I recommend you switch on because it is off by default. It is the Bluetooth connectivity quality option. So with this enabled, now you can switch quickly between prioritizing high quality audio and low latency and stability. This could be useful for when you switch between listening to music to gaming, for example. I do wish Sony would add the Bluetooth LE option here to these settings, but maybe we'll see that in a future update. Now, remember how I said that I'll show you how to check if you have that higher quality codec? Well, that codec is called LDAC, and it's actually something Sony themselves created. Unfortunately, if you're on iPhone, then you won't have it. But if you're on Android, you might be in luck, and here's how to find out. Go to your Bluetooth settings, hit the settings button next to the headphones. And here you should see the available options for these headphones. If you see HD audio, LDAC as an option, then definitely switch this on. Also here you should see spatial audio and head tracking, and you might possibly have the wireless playback quality menu. Within this menu, you can actually prioritize sound quality. But don't worry if you don't have these, you can actually set these up through the app itself. Now, one thing you should know about LDAC is it's not quite as stable as some of the other classic codecs. So I'd only recommend you use that if you know that your device is going to be quite close to you. Okay, staying within the Bluetooth settings just very quickly, there's a super important and very basic thing to do that a lot of people don't do and may never do, but I do advise you do it. So if you hit the pen at the top of this page, you can actually rename your headphones how they appear in the Bluetooth menu. Now, the reason I say this is important is because, trust me, one day you'll be on a plane and there'll be several people with the same headphones as you. And in a scenario like that, when you're trying to pair the headphones to a new device, yeah, it can get real confusing real quick. And this little change that you make right now could save you time in the future, and nobody can give you your time back. So you might as well do it. Okay, by default, auto updates for the headphones should be on in the app, but just in case for any reason they aren't, or if you just want to check that your software is in fact up to date right now, here's how to do it. jump into the app, go to the device settings, go to system, go to update software. Here you can check if the auto update is actually on, and you can also check the current update status. So if you tap on this, you'll see if you are in fact up to date or not. So this one is a simple setting to switch on that will help you save battery life and, in my opinion, improve the way the headphones work. So check this out, go to your device settings again and system, and here make sure the auto power off is enabled. That way when you do take them off, they will eventually power down and not just be burning through battery. And also switch on pause when headphones are removed. This is a great feature just for ease of use. If you're watching something on your phone, when you take the headphones off, the content will pause, and the same thing applies to music. So I would recommend enabling that, but it's up to you. Okay, staying within the same menu. Remember how I spoke about Bluetooth LE and how it unlocks a secret feature for sharing audio? Well, let me show you how to use that and set it up. If you enable Bluetooth LE here, this will disconnect you from the regular connection, and then you'll have to reconnect via Bluetooth LE signal. Now this next bit will look different depending on the device that you're using. So I'm using the Sony Xperia here, and it has a very clean Android operating system. So yours might look like this. And I also have a Galaxy here, and I can show you how that one works and how it's a bit different. So on the Xperia, if you go to your Bluetooth settings and then you go to connection preferences at the bottom, here you'll see the audio sharing option. This is where you can create an Auracast stream using Bluetooth LE. You need to set up a password for this so that only the people you want to join the broadcast can join. Think of it like your own private audio radio station, but using Bluetooth LE, of course. So with this set up, essentially anyone can join. It could be the person sitting next to you on a plane, for example, who you want to watch a movie with. So using this does mean you can get rid of that old headphone jack splitter and go fully wireless. But their headphones also have to support Bluetooth LE for this to work. All right, if you want to do the same thing on a Samsung device, it's slightly different. You go to the Bluetooth settings again, but this time you hit the three dots in the top right corner and you'll see the Auracast options here. And then you set up your broadcast name and your password, and it works pretty much the same way. And if you're on Apple, well, fingers crossed that they actually introduce Bluetooth LE on their upcoming devices. I don't know why they take so long to do these things. Now some quick fire tips and tricks for the XM6's controls. Now you might already know this, but just in case you don't, if you place a palm over the right ear cup, this activates the ambient pass-through mode. So if you're on a flight or a noisy train or something, and you need to have a quick conversation, you can do it without taking the headphones off. So the touch controls on the right ear cup are easy to use with the taps and swipes, and there's a whole tutorial when you set them up that will walk you through those. But what some people might not know is that if you want to adjust the volume quickly, you don't need to swipe several times. You can swipe and hold, and that will gradually increase or lower the volume depending on which way you swiped. As standard, the noise cancelling and ambient aware button toggles between just those two functions. But if you want to save even more power, you can do this. Go to device settings, go to system, and here you'll see the NC and AMB button settings. And within this menu, you have the option to add the off function as well to this button. And when you do turn off noise cancelling and ambient pass through, you are saving power, and actually the passive noise cancelling is pretty damn good on its own. So staying within the same menu, another way to use the NC AMB button is this. Scroll down to the enable headphone microphone operation and enable this. Now the next time you're on a conference call or just a regular phone call, you can actually mute the mics just by double tapping the ANC button. And I do recommend leaving the mic notification status on so you know when the mic is muted. Again, staying within the device settings and systems menu. This time we're going to go to voice control. Here you can set up the Google Assistant to work on the headphones. Now this is great, but actually activating this does switch off some other features like the Bluetooth LE, if you are using that, and even some of the other sound modes, which I haven't showed you just yet. But what I found here is actually if you use the voice assist function on the mobile device instead, it works in a very similar way, and it's actually more convenient because you don't sacrifice any of the other features. Okay, this next one is really useful if for whatever reason you can't actually touch the headphones to control them. Again, activating this will sacrifice some other features, but maybe it'll be worth it. So within the device settings and system menu, voice control and voice assistant, you can actually select operate headphones with voice commands. And if you tap the little blue writing underneath, you can see all of the commands that are recognized by the headphones themselves. These do work well, but I would only recommend activating this if you know for a fact that you're not going to be able to touch the headphones to control them. Let's say you're running and you've got gloves on, or you're doing some kind of activity where the touches aren't going to register. Well, that could be a great use case for this particular feature. And here's another feature that I'd only advise you use when you're not using headphones for any kind of activities. So if you go to device settings, system, here you'll see the head gestures option. So with this switched on, you can pick up or cancel calls by nodding your head or by shaking your head. But the reason I don't advise this for everyone is that you do run the risk of actually picking up or canceling a call unintentionally. Now, this is another feature worth knowing about, but I don't necessarily recommend leaving on all of the time. And this one's in a slightly different place. So you go to your device settings. This time we go to the sound tab. Here you'll see speak to chat. This feature will basically detect when you're speaking and auto activate the ambient pass-through and lower the volume. It's good, but if you cough or you hum along to a song or something like that, it could kick in. So I'd only recommend using this for long journeys where you know you're not going to be speaking very much, for example, on a long flight. Okay, so let's slow things down a little bit now because these next few are some of the best features on the XM6, and some of these are the ones that require the Sony account. That's why I said that is important. So there are a couple of really useful features switched off by default that you really need to see. So within the device settings again, and this time within the sound menu, here you can tap on ambient sound, and you can see here you can adjust the level of pass-through. So you can fine tune it to whatever's comfortable for you. Or you can make use of auto ambient sound. This mode will adjust the pass-through level dynamically based on the noise that's around you. This is one that I recommend switching on day one. Also here you have the voice pass-through filter. This allows the ambient pass-through mode to focus mainly on the vocal frequency range. So that choice is entirely up to you. All right, this is another feature worth setting up on day one, as it's one of those ones that you'll only have to do once. On the home screen, if you go to the scene tab, here you'll see the adaptive sound control option. Tap on that. Here you can enable adaptive sound control and also enable optimized switching for you. So the headphones can actually control the settings in order to improve the sound based on your surroundings when this is on. And this is where you can really fine tune how your XM6s work for you specifically. If you hit the settings here, you can choose what mode your XM6s will use for when you're sitting, when you're walking, when you're running, or in a vehicle. Each one individually. For example, when you're running, you might want the ambient awareness set to the maximum and voice pass-through activated because you definitely don't want to get hit by a bus. And then you might want to have a completely different setup for when you're walking. And you can take these kinds of adjustments to the next level by doing this. If you go into settings for automatic switching, at My Places, if you enable learning, as you begin to use the headphones more and more, they will learn based on the sound levels in those geographic locations which modes to use on your headphones. But if you've not used them for that long yet, there won't be anything here. But what you can do to speed things up is register your most visited locations manually using the map. For example, if you tap your home location, you can then set the radius of your home. And if you have a big house, then lend us some money and then hit next. Then give it a category. And here you can choose all the settings and even a specific EQ that you like to use in that location. And then the last setting is to choose whether you want it to switch to it automatically when you're in that area or whether to receive a notification prompt that will ask you if you want to switch to this mode when you're in that location, which I actually prefer. But again, it's up to you. I would recommend spending a bit of time setting up your most frequent locations on day one. It makes the headphones even better. So the noise cancelling ambient aware button at this point can be used to toggle through the modes, and it can also be used to mute the microphone. But you can make it do even more if you want. If you go to the device settings, go to services this time, here you can map the double tap and triple tap of this button to any of the services you see here. Endall is a good one. It's great for soundscapes and music specifically for when you're trying to study. Spotify is also an option here, but I do wish Sony would allow third-party mapping for this button, especially since Spotify doesn't have a high-res audio library. I'm a Tidal fan personally, and I would love to have a quick launch for that mapped to this button, but hey, again, maybe we'll see that in an update. So this feature will only work when you're not using Bluetooth LE. It's found on the home screen, and it is the background mode. So this works really well when combined with that Endall app that I just mentioned in the quick access tip. Put simply, when you use this, it emulates the sound of a speaker being played in the background. And if you jump into the listening mode setting here, you can actually choose between 3 different background sound effects, all of which are pretty good and not too distracting. All right, listen here real quick. You probably don't need me to tell you this, but if you like to blast music into your ears at high levels for too long, eventually the harsh reality of life will take a toll on your ability to hear. That's just how it goes. So a word to the wise is go to the Discover tab at the bottom of the screen. Here, go to the Activity section and hit the 3 dots, and then on this page, enable Smart Safe Listening. And there is just one more step required for this to work properly. If you go back to the Discover page, tap the Safe Listening and Activity tab, and here enable Safe Volume Control. And this will limit the volume of the headphones based on the sound pressure levels and listening durations. And that's really putting it very simply. But also when doing this, you unlock this nice little current sound pressure level readout on the home screen. Okay, so I've got one more really important setting to share with you guys, especially if you followed all the way along to the end of the video, and thank you for making it this far, by the way. So at this point, your headphones should be now optimized better for the music and tailored specifically for you. And the worst thing that could happen at this point is that you lose all of the settings that you've literally just dialed in. So here is that last tip. If you go to the menu tab at the bottom of the page, here you'll see backup and restore settings and data. If you hit this and hit backup now, this will save it to your Sony account. Now with that done, the great thing about this is if you do plan to use the XM6s with a tablet or another device that can run the Sound Connect app, you can restore all of your settings and even the custom EQs to that device in an instant. And you can thank me later for that. Anyway, if you're still here, I did promise that I would share with you guys my own personal EQ that I dialed in. I'm not saying that it's better than the signature sound from Sony, and that is with the EQ switched off, but I like it. Here it is. This is what I've dialed in for the types of music that I like the most, and it is a little bit bass heavy. Test it out, let me know what you think of it. And again, thank you for making it this far into the video. Let me know if you got any value out of this one. And if you're not subscribed yet, well then...
Make it so.
Make it so.
Make it so. Make it so. Make it so.
And I will see you in the next one. Don't be late.